Okay, today we're just going to talk a little bit about the kayak fishing rods that we have. Not many people know that we've got a small range of kayak fishing rods. Just like our gaffs, we developed from years of kayak fishing, we developed a very simple range of kayak fishing rods that through the years of fishing we experienced sort of the kind of rod that suits a variety of applications. So simply put, we've got what we call the Yak Fisher, okay, which is your more affordable entry-level rod, and then we've got the Yak Fisher Pro, which is obviously the higher spec rod, which is obviously a little bit more expensive. So in the Yak Fisher range, we have first up we have a trawling rod, okay. So in South Africa, what we would call is a trawling rod is, you know, you put on a lure like a helco or a pala or a dead bait or even a live bait, and this would be your multiplier, and you would put your bait out and trawl with it, okay? So what we did with this is, with my experience of fishing, is we made a 7-foot rod, so it's easy to angle the fish around the kayak. We shortened the butt. You know, some of the rods you'll get very long butts, so obviously kayak fishing, to be able to put it close and wind when you're sitting, to have a shorter butt, so the butt has been made shorter, and obviously the end of the butt is perfectly shaped to fit into the rod holders comfortably and nice and snug. So short butt, shaped to fit into the rod holders for when you're trawling. So that's one of the features. The next feature is on this rod, like I said, is 7 foot, so it comfortably fits into all the kayaks. 7 foot for a little bit of extra length, and on this rod you'll notice that the tip has got some nice movement, which is perfect what you need for pulling lures like helcos and rapalas, where you can get a nice little action out of the lure. So tip's a little bit softer, the rod's got a nice backbone. The entry-level Yak Fisher rod would be more for targeting mackerel. You know, like in Australia, you would call them Spanish mackerel, South Africa, king mackerel. Those kind of fish, you know, maybe you're fishing for queenfish or you're fishing for garrick. This is a great rod to do it for. This is not the rod that I would go and rig up a live bait to go and target those 25-30 kilo yellowfin, because it doesn't have an extra strong backbone. But for all the other trawling and fishing, this is the go-to rod for me. So sticking to the trawling range, obviously the Yak Fisher Pro is the upper end version of the Yak Fisher. All the same features, you know, shorter butt, fits in the rod hole nicely. The difference between the Pro and the Standard, the Pro is made of a much higher spec carbon. This is also a carbon rod, but this is a higher spec carbon. The backbone of this rod is a lot stronger. So if you want to go and throw a live bait and target tuna on a wreck or a barge, whatever, you would stick to the Pro before you'd stick to the Standard. This rod, of course, you can go and target all the other species that we mentioned, you know, your mackerel and everything. But being almost double in price to that, it becomes a price point. If you want to spend more money on a rod, for more, you know, more features, you go to the Pro. You just want to get a good rod that's perfect for kayak fishing and lasts and is nice and strong, then you go for the Standard. So in the trawling range, that's the difference between the two. So the Pro, higher spec carbon rod than the Standard, and as I say, the backbone in the Pro is a lot stronger than the Standard. Then we move to our two spinning rods. Once again, the Standard Yak Fisher, and then the Yak Fisher Pro. All the same features, much like the trawling rod. The Pro's got a much stronger backbone, much higher spec carbon, so it's a much stronger and harder rod to pull. In fact, if you were jigging sort of the heavier jigs and everything, then I'd stick to the Yak Fisher Pro. If you're throwing light drop shots and lighter stuff, then the Standard Yak Fisher is great. The great feature about these rods is, once again, they're 7 foot. So from our personal experience on fishing on kayaks, is 7 foot rod. You can throw those spoons and those little, like let's say under or a helco twisty, you can throw them quite far with a 7 foot rod. So we kept the spinning rod to 7 foot. The Standard rod is my go-to rod for throwing little lures, for fishing for snook, or little lures for trying to maybe catch bonnies for live bait or light drop shotting. One, because it's got a nice soft tip, and two, it's got really nice action on. So when you're drop shotting with a rod like this and it's got a good action, you get a really good action out of your small jigs and your small drop shots. So that would be my go-to rod for pretty much everything. If I'm if I'm targeting, or whipping bigger jigs, or I'm fishing in an area I know there's some deep sea monsters, then I will obviously use the Pro because I know it's got a stronger backbone. I can maybe pull it a little bit harder. But once again, same features between the two rods, just a higher spec carbon. As with the trolling rods, like we say, shorter butts, so you can, once you're fighting a fish, you can put it close and you can wind. Yeah, 7 foot. So I mean, that's basically the range of rods. So 4 rods in the range, 2 trolling rods, 2 spinning rods. Biggest difference, one has a higher spec carbon, stronger backbone than the other, but all the features are the same. So everything that we've tested over time on a kayak fishing, as in terms of a kayak fishing rod, we've introduced into the series. So that's our Yak Fisher and our Yak Fisher Pro.